Albany, 4 months, Gov. Andrew M. Cuomo of New York has been warning in sometimes apocalyptic terms about the potential impact of a Republican-backed tax plan in Washington on the state's already fragile bottom line. With the tax plan narrowly passed by the United States Senate, Mr. Cuomo was once again trying to sound an alarm, banding together in a teleconference on Monday with Philip D. Murphy, New Jersey's governor-elect, and Gov. Jerry Brown of California to mount an 11th-hour stand against a plan that they continue to say will devastate their states and many of their citizens. But while Mr. Cuomo and his counterparts from California and New Jersey seemed dead certain about the tax bill's intent, Mr. Brown called it evil in the extreme. There were still an array of questions about how states would respond. None of the three Democrats offered concrete plans on what action their states might take if the tax bill were to become law. Part of that is caution and part is hope. The GOP tax bill still needs to go through a reconciliation process to align versions passed by the Senate and the House, and Democrats are hoping to ramp up political pressure to effect changes in the final legislation. Either version bodes ill for New York, which is already facing a budget gap of $4.4 billion for the fiscal year starting April 1. Analysts in Mr. Cuomo's office say some 1.4 million residents would be affected by capping a property tax deduction at $10,000, with millions more hit by the elimination of the deduction for state and local income taxes. Mr. Cuomo has said repeatedly that forcing New York residents to pay federal taxes on income on which they already paid state taxes amounts to double taxation. And while the two governors and the governor-elect stopped short of saying they would sue, each seemed to agree that lawsuits might be in the offing. "I'm not a lawyer, but I'm betting there are some holes and flaws in this bill," Mr. Murphy said. Mr. Cuomo, who purportedly has national ambitions, called the bill political retaliation through the tax code, noting that states like New York and California were Democratic strongholds. He also suggested that if an onerous tax plan is signed by President Trump, the response from his party and their supporters should be immediate. "If they do this, the next day we are going to start the repeal and replace movement for the Tax Act," he said, likening such a strategy to Republicans' continuing and unsuccessful efforts to end the Affordable Care Act. E.J. McMahon, the founder of the Empire Center for Public Policy, a fiscally conservative watchdog group, said that the governor's rhetoric about the tax bill had often been overly blunt. "There's been zero nuance," he said, but that Mr. Cuomo was correct in that the GOP plan had a political edge to it. "It's basically a net tax shift to the higher tax states," Mr. McMahon said. "They are going to where the money is, and that," he added, "was the repeal of the state and local tax deduction." Mayor Bill de Blasio, who also is a Democrat, cautioned that the tax cut could still hit a snag if Republican members of Congress come under pressure from constituents and local officials in high tax areas.